Hey, Amir,
Yo.
what do you want to talk about this week?
Same thing we talk about every week. If your mom did mushrooms and thought you were a giraffe, would you forgive her?
Live to tape from Vancouver, it's Eric's Living Room, a show best listened to in the nude, featuring Amir Ali. And now, the man who still hasn't paid me for voicing these intros, here is your host, Eric Chapman.
Welcome to the living room. I am Eric. He is Amir.
You kind of do have a
Or maybe
giraffe
vice versa.
kind of.
What?
You have a long neck.
No, I don't.
You're pretty tall.
I have a very normal neck length.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
I have lanky arm. I'm lanky.
You're lanky. Maybe that's a giraffe.
That's
comparison.
maybe okay.
Giraffes are
I
a little
get
bit
that,
lanky.
but I don't have a long neck.
No, you don't. You
Fuck.
have a nice neck. It's good.
Don't get fucking
No, your neck's
focused on my
good.
neck.
No, your neck's fine.
Shit. I've never thought about having a long neck. I don't think that would
You
bother
don't.
me.
You don't. I just checked.
No,
You're good.
no, but honestly, like seriously, even if I did, I don't think that would be so. I'm more worried about my face in general and my horrible body than just my neck alone.
What the
Yeah.
hell's horrible about your body?
Oh, have you seen me with no shirt? Do you want me to do it right now? I want to take my shirt off,
No.
but it's gross.
It's cold in here.
It's
Don't
just
do that.
I don't.
You're
I
gonna
was
get
told
hypothermia.
one time I was making out with a girl real young, and she grabbed my chest hair and she's like, "Ew."
What?
Like gross. Yeah. And I was like, that really affected me. And so I think body hair is gross. And I have a hairy chest. I don't have I don't have a super hairy butt. Like my back isn't super hairy, but I have a hairy chest. And so now I'm super self-conscious about it. I don't shave it, but I keep it like a good length so it's not too long. And I'm like, yeah.
Most girls that I've talked to are into hairy chests.
And see, as a man, as a grown-ass man, you run into almost every woman that I've been with is like, I love a hairy chest.
Yeah, I would tell
So-
her she's fucking crazy if she said
But
the
it's
opposite.
still
I don't
still
care.
that. Do you ever get a thing?
Go find a fucking seal to date. Shit.
Or a dolphin,
Yeah.
right? I find people that are dolphin like weird.
I will say, if I
It's
had a hairy
weird.
back, thankfully I don't.
Yeah.
I would be super self-conscious. I'd get that shit waxed.
I
My
got a
back
little
is
bit of hair,
smooth.
but nothing like
Oh no,
over.
my back is smooth.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Because you're a hairy guy.
Not really.
No, really. You look
You
like
don't-
you are from the beard.
It's
Because
the
your
beard.
beard is so thick.
The only place there's real hair is my chest. But like if you look at
Really?
my arms, okay, close up of my arms. Very thin amount of like there's kind of long, but it's not.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
not
yeah.
A lot of
Okay.
hair.
Well, no.
You were about the same on the arms.
Yeah, right. But mine like stays consistent.
Oh yeah, see mine
Right.
stops up here.
Right,
It's
yeah.
only really on my forearm.
Yeah.
My legs are kind of hairy.
Yeah, I got hairy legs.
My ass isn't hairy, thankfully.
No, thank God.
No one likes a hairy
Oh,
ass.
and my back's just a little hairy, but I keep it trim.
I shouldn't say that. Maybe some people do like hairy asses.
Who?
I don't know. I've
Name
never met
one.
somebody.
I disagree. Find one.
Elizabeth. She
Elizabeth,
definitely
why?
likes. Why do you
like hairy asses, Elizabeth? No, it's fine that you do.
Yeah, it's cool. Everyone's got their taste.
Mental health check. I'm kind of Speaking of, actually, wow, interesting. I didn't mean to do that. I'm a little self-conscious about myself right now because I've been continually speaking with a woman
That always does
for
it.
a little while.
Women always make you self-conscious, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Relationships in general, I guess.
In general, and especially the start, because you really want to impress them.
So you're like doubting yourself and stuff like that
yeah,
sometimes?
yeah, and I'm like super like, you know how I always say I never look in the mirror. Like now I'm like looking in the mirror again and starting to like notice things. It's
I
just
noticed
like,
on your
oh,
counter
bah.
you got a toothpick, some nose clippers, and tweezers. So clearly you're putting a lot of time into your appearance. What's the toothpick
I
for?
tweezed the crap out of my eyebrows the other day. It felt so good, man. They're like
Mm.
shaped and stuff now.
No, I
And
don't mind the
since
hairy fucking bushy ass eyebrows.
We talked about my eyebrow focus a couple episodes ago, and my friend Jody Vance, she watched the episode and was like, "Don't pluck them anymore. Do this."
Is it
and so I'm like-
threading?
Yeah, she suggested threading, which I won't do, but she's like, don't pluck. So I was like, okay. So I've just been trimming, and I watched some videos of some really good barbers because the Hair Buddha, I don't know if you follow them on Instagram. He's awesome anyways. And anyway, so yeah, I got it under control.
Wait.
And
Why
it's a
why
thing.
don't you pluck? Why should we not pluck, Jody?
Well, you don't pluck in the middle of your eyebrow because eventually it won't grow back.
Oh, yeah, I never do that.
Right,
I would
see, I
only
do.
do the outskirts of my eyebrows.
Well, only because I find some that are like, it's like, where'd you come from, bro?
I trim those
Where
usually.
does that, how do you even exist? Where did
Threading's
you
actually
grow?
really popular in the brown community. There's lots of like Indian threading salons all over
Yeah.
Fraser Street.
Yeah, but I got it under control now. But that was a branch off of what we were
Yeah,
really
you're saying
talking
you're
about.
self-conscious about this thing that you're going through. And again, yeah, why? Like, what's the main...
Just, again, I'm starting to focus on myself and notice my flaws, so I'm becoming more self-conscious about them and things like that.
Is that a good thing? Is that
That's
like
okay.
is that
It's
like
not
self-improvement maybe
No,
to some degree?
100%. Yeah. I'm just noticing it. Again, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing that I noticed. Because I'm still feeling real happy. I'm not sad. Come on, T.
I know we're talking about other things today, but like one thing that I've thought about a lot lately is this idea of getting into a new relationship, but having so much knowledge from previous relationships to like be like, I don't want to be that way again. I don't want to do this again. Are you noticing that now that you're like 2 weeks into this thing?
You know what? That's really funny that you mentioned that. Yes, because we're talking about with this woman about a little bit about former relationships, and she mentioned like, oh, I haven't really had that long a relationship, and I was like, oh, well, I have. And it wasn't a judgment or anything. I was just responding. And then that sparked the thought of exactly what you're talking about, being like, yo, I have a lot of experience with the relationships. I've had 10-year relationships, 6-month relationships, 1-night relationships, 2-year relationships, 3-year, like I've had a good variation of people in my life for different lengths of time and different depths of love and experience during it. And so, yeah, like, and where I'm at now too, I'm pretty fucking, like, my mental fitness is on point. And so, yeah, it's definitely a bonus to have had that experience, and I do recognize it, and I give myself props for, having that many relationships absolutely fail, but learning from them at the same time, right?
Yeah, mental fitness, that's an interesting phrase. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, shit, I'm going crazy with my mental fitness right now.
We've been talking a lot about the fact that you've been sort of on a high, but now you're saying you've been a little bit self-conscious, but it still feels like you're still riding the high for the most part.
Yeah, no, it's not going down. It's good. I'm staying positive. I have absolutely nothing to look forward to, but that's okay. I'm happy with the passing of time. What about you there, Stinky Poops?
My poops aren't that stinky.
No, stop. Vegan stinky poops.
No, man.
No?
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't.
But I mean, everyone likes their own scent, right?
No.
Oh.
Oh, I hate the smell of my poop.
Oh.
Oh, you like your own poop smell?
A little bit.
Is that a thing? You know what? I like my own BO.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
Sometimes I'm like,
I don't even call it odor. I just feel like it's
my body
scent.
scent. Yeah, totally.
I love it.
Or like a certain scent on that matches mine on a woman. Like I can just be like live in their armpit. Just, anyways, go.
Yeah, I've been good. I feel like I think for the longest time I let myself, and we've talked about it a lot on like literally every episode of this podcast, just kind of let myself get too low, even if it's an outside factor that's causing me to go low. To go low, it's really up to me to respond to that. However I do, and I think I've allowed myself too much to respond to negative situations by just like sinking. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of corrected my own behavior and just not taken things too impactfully, just facing whatever the situation is. There still has been some, ups and downs, but not letting the downs take me down with them, which is a challenge, but
you're allowing yourself that space to go down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now I just want to stay level, and I'm not forcing myself to, to be positive or whatever, but just staying on the level.
Yeah.
What's really helped is doing LSD all the time. That's been like, no,
all
I'm
the
just
time?
No, I don't.
Like,
but
how often do you do LSD?
I have not yet done LSD.
Is that acid? That's acid, right?
That's acid. And now you can actually buy it from a store in Vancouver.
Yeah, you can get ketamine too.
And peyote.
And psilocybin. Which, for anyone really quick, we're talking about magic mushrooms when we say psilocybin, but we don't want to call them hallucinogenic mushrooms or magic mushrooms because straight up, I've done copious amounts of mushrooms, like through high school and after. I haven't done them in quite some time now. It's probably been 5 years since my last, and before that it was probably at least 10 years.
Wow.
But I have incredible amounts of experience with this particular substance. And I don't like magic mushrooms or hallucinogenic mushrooms because, to be honest, out of the many times I've done it, I've only had like visuals a couple times. And I've also had many strange too. Like it's not that thing. So I think for the sake of the conversation and moving forward, calling it psilocybin is the proper thing to do. So we don't start confusing people. And again, we have stigmas attached to drugs. So people get scared when they hear that.
And psilocybin now comes in many forms. Like my most recent experience with psilocybin isn't like in the traditional mushroom variety. It's through microdosing.
Yeah.
Which are pretty common now. And my most recent experience was in like the last couple of years, and I didn't do like a regular dosage. I did like, a few pills here and there. And I really did feel them greatly improve my mood overall. And I kind of wish I was still doing it, to be honest. But I've also had a lot of weird experiences like you with psilocybin.
Like what?
I remember this, like one of my first major experiences with eating them. It was just like, oh God, it was like a horror movie. It was me and like a few friends in an apartment. We had some chocolate bars and we, scarfed them down. It started off really great. We were like, there was a balloon in the room for some reason. And we were hitting it around and we were noticing the sound waves like visually coming off of it. I remember going to the washroom and looking in the mirror, which is always a terrifying experience.
How was it? Were you sweaty?
No. Okay. But like, when you smile when you're on psilocybin and you're seeing yourself, you look like a fucking crazy clown.
Yes.
Got out of the washroom and like all of us were in the exact same place. We were just all in the fetal position with this really intense experience. I was seeing weird things in my head.
Positive?
Not positive or negative, just like kind of dark.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, but like kind of like you're lost in a void and you can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember getting out of it was the most sort of eye-opening experience because being in that darkness felt like a complete loss of control of my mind. And not like to the point of insanity, just like I couldn't feel myself be grounded.
Oh, interesting.
But coming out of it and regaining control, it felt like I had more control than I've ever had before, if that makes sense.
Man, it goes to that thing I keep talking about of how letting go gives you more holding on. You know what or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's similar.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, wow. So have you... I guess in the microdosing, let's go to that. Like, how was that? What was that? How different was that from just doing mushrooms for fun?
So you can... I don't think doctors would suggest this, but you can... You're only supposed to take like 1 or 2 pills at a time. It's a very mild kind of euphoric feeling that you have. I got the last time I purchased them, I got them from an underground source, which suggested that you could take like 8 to 10 pills and have a party, have a really good time.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm assuming if you wanted like the standard psilocybin experience where you're like tripping out, you could do that. But for me, it was just like, I took 1 or 2 pills a day, had this very mild euphoric feeling, which I kind of equate to almost like being a little bit high on weed.
Okay.
But I remember the next day following these times that I would do it, I just felt like, a general lifting of my mood. I felt my anxiety completely melt away. And that was probably the biggest takeaway that I had. Have you ever done any microdosing?
Yes, but technically not enough. I think you gave me like a couple pills or thing, but I didn't do enough for me to feel what you're supposed to feel.
I think we got some when we were in radio.
Yeah, I believe
some people came because they were talking about how they're actually using microdosing to treat people who have drug addiction or substance abuse issues.
Yeah,
and
because you're changing the way you're thinking with
the
neuroplasticity. And that's what it's about. You have to change your habits, change your patterns. So it's very healthy, and it's interesting the conversation about what you're talking about with the Dana Larson and the mushrooms and why it's in the new or the psilocybin. See, even I have trouble sticking to that. But that also goes to feed the drug testing service that he supplies.
Yeah.
That supplies 60% of all of British Columbia with drug testing, which is saving lives. So I think the conversation about selling and the legalization and the the destigmatization of it is important,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
because like 15 years ago, weed was in the same spot. And now we have to
yeah.
call it cannabis.
And that's exactly what he said. Like
right?
the way these psilocybin dispensaries are operating around Vancouver is very much how cannabis dispensaries were operating before weed was legalized. There were shops all over the place that got raided by police and had to close down. Just the stigma is so annoying, and we can demonize Dana Larson all we want, but like,
Yeah.
I gotta give him props, and I forgive him because he's doing a lot of work that's helping a lot of people, honestly.
Yeah, I know. It's a love-hate with that guy. But I've also hear from multiple people that have tried the microdosing that everything's brighter. Like colors are substantially more. It's like someone that gets those glasses that they have their colorblind or they only see black and white, and they put them on and they start to cry. It's like similar, like a moving event.
You know
like
what
that.
it's like? It's like if you turned on your TV and put a show on, you know how you can change the color settings?
Yes.
And one of the settings is like vibrancy or something.
Yes.
You pump up the vibrancy or even the saturation. Yeah, everything's brighter, everything's more vivid, and I think you use the word tactile. Everything just feels more. It's a great feeling, and I think it's going to be a lot more mainstream in like the next 10 years.
And you'd recommend it through your experience with proper,
Yeah, read up about it, do some research on it, but like if you're looking for something to lift your mood, and it's probably better if you do have maybe some experience with psychedelics or psilocybin. I definitely would recommend checking it out, and there are legit ways that you can get them, so you're not like finding it off the black market.
Yeah, there's doctors involved, especially in the lower mainland, yeah. And it's not like acid, like they're very different things. Like acid is an experience to behold, where it probably does like a lot more. I'm not familiar. I've done a lot of acid too. The last time I did acid, I was at a party in a small town called Swan Hills, Alberta. And it's a very small, it's like there was like a waste recycle plant there for like toxic waste. And we all said that the kids from Swan Hills, there was something in the water because they're all a little different. But they're beautiful people still, but different. Anyway, so I was sitting at a party talking to my friend Shane Nanninga, and we're just sitting there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm vibing. It would be great if we had some acid, man. And he's like, bro, good idea. That would be great. Too bad, eh? And some guy just turns around. And he's like, hey, you want some acid,
Oh,
guys?
my God.
And he opened some tinfoil. And I don't know if it was black blotter or what it was. And I look at Shane, he's like, and we went ahead and
It's a good
we
time.
put it on our tongues. And yeah, it was, it's tough to place events that happened that night because I got lost immediately as soon as it started to kick in. And I wandered the small town, what felt like for 12 days. And then I finally found the place I was staying because it was a town I didn't live in, and no one was there. And so I waited outside until my friend Mike Lanova came home. And then I just laid on his couch and stared at the ceiling for like 10 more hours, what it felt like. It was a good, thoughtful thing. And that's why I think the experience is good. And like with drugs like that, because it's not like this big old trip. Like I just thought the whole time. I just thought about shit. And like maybe reacted a little more to like things in the bush or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's like, it was just the amount of thinking. And even the last time I did psilocybin was on the island, and it was with a large group of people. And I ended up just walking by myself around the property for like 4 hours. And again, I just thought. And there was no like visuals or like monsters coming out. It's just me thinking.
Yeah.
And so that's why the experience is worthwhile to me, because the amount you can think and get through all that stuff is really fascinating, and it shows some like potential of what you can do.
Yeah, and I think while people can have those like monster experiences or whatever, I think to a large degree, a lot of it's just like a reefer madness, is people kind of demonizing these substances and making them sound worse than they are. And really, if you're doing it responsibly, you're not going to see demons and monsters.
Yeah, and talk to people about it. And like, I've had bad trips, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, same.
And it's felt like I was going to die.
Yeah.
But that was my fault. I went into it wrong, so yeah, preparing. So I think it's a good thing.
What I love about the LSD thing that you mentioned is the fact that it kind of found you. You didn't have to go out of your way to find it. For me, those have always been the best times where you kind of stumble upon it. The vibes are good. You're like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But I think when you're putting too much pressure on the idea of doing it, then you're probably not going to
changes
get
it.
what you expect out of it.
when you like, especially when you're experimenting, if you're
Yeah.
like going into it and you're like, oh, we're going to find it. And then we got to like, cause when I was getting drugs, it was very difficult and it was very illegal and it was very scary. Like the experience now is very different. Like it was dark alley gangsters. Like this is not a good situation. Like that's how you used to have to get drugs.
It sucks.
And so it sucks. And you don't know what it is and you can't get it tested. And so you got to know the guy that's getting the guy. And how do you know the guy that's getting the guy unless you are the guy? And then you got to get involved in these horrible rings of people. This is awful. And so that connection to this. And so I understand why the stigma
for sure.
is there and all that stuff. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Now you can just walk into a shop and be like, hey, man, I want some psilocybin. You got some? Like, here you go.
Psilocybin,
$20.
son.
Well, we were supposed to have a conversation about forgiveness, but I think we're kind of running out of
Yeah, we can save it for last time. We can tease it. So I think forgiveness, you know how all these gurus, like, please forgive, forgive. And you see all these videos, these mental health videos with these guys that are just annoying. It's like everything's this preparation into this fucking buildup. It's like, bro, I just got emotions. Calm the fuck down. But it's like, forgiveness, I forgave my dad. And because I forgave my dad, I was able to move on. It's like, well, my dad died. He had a heart attack and died on his chair. And he sat there for 3 days. And I'm glad. Like, I'm glad he's dead. And I've never forgiven him. But you know what? I've let it all go. And I don't hang on to it. And I'd like to talk about more and how it's possible to, like, move through things without necessarily forgiving, but still moving on.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because next week I want to talk about why I'll never forgive my dad.
Oh, wow. So how do you, this is awkward now because you just said what we're going to talk about, but I got to ask you the question.
Ask me the question.
Well, what do you want? We're going to talk about a lot next week, but what do you want to talk about next week, Amir?
I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about what we always talk about next week.
What?
Which is the fact that some fucking losers out there are watching movies at home and fast forwarding it because they're at home and they can. Like, come on, watch the movie.